I don't believe that showing strength or even in a relationship that compatibility, that her word should not matter in the household. I believe that I should have the final say, or we should come to agreements about how we're raising our children, how we're doing things. I think that if I'm in a relationship with a woman who respects me, that I've earned her respect, then she will yield the floor and understand that I'm the head of the household. But there are a lot of men who are not men. They are merely males, and they only have control in their homes, right? They don't even have control in their homes. Only way they have control is because they're physically stronger than women and children. So they go into those homes and they beat and they harm women and children, and they don't produce strong men. They don't produce strong women. They don't have partners. They have people who are in fear of them. And I believe that for years, that's how a lot of when you have conversations with elder women, there are elder women who said, I wasn't in love, I wasn't in compassion, I was in fear. And I lived in this relationship out of fear, right? So no woman or children should be in a household where they're in fear of someone who is supposed to be the head of their household. There should be a unit. So I understand what you're saying. And yes, I believe that a man should be dominant, but I believe that a man should be proven to be dominant. I think that you prove your dominance through intellect. I believe you prove your dominance through compassion, to empathy, to being able to teach, to be able to teach your children. To a woman feels like when she's around you, she's learning something, she's growing. If a woman's around you and because you are unable to teach her or able to reach her, all you can do is beat her, then you have not shown any level of any type of superiority. You are not leading a household. So when we talk about those things, and when you talk about the stats, right, and we talk about, yes, they did. The black people are the only people they took our culture from us, right? They took all the things. They took our culture. They've taken our religion. I say this all the time. Only thing that we unite in is pain and trauma. When we see another black person in pain and trauma, we all united. Prior to that, I'm black, you foundational, you this and that. We are divided. So what I'm trying to explain to you, that's why that if we're in America and all of the resources are held by the white people, right? If all of the resources are held by the white people and we're figuring out because they understand that anything that you teach us, we outlearn them, and we've done it over and over and over. I've watched, and this is why every 100 years they disenfranchise black people, because what happens is once you teach us the game, we play it better than you. So what they do
May I respond to your earlier point since you're going on to a different point now?
I'm going into what you went into 3 different points.
Carry on.
Into what you said. You were talking about how we are divided as a culture, how we don't have a culture, how we don't have religion. So I'm explaining to you what happened. So they know that we don't have religion. So what happens is now that we start to build our culture, we start to come back in congruency, we start to be united, and they see that united. This is right now, there's a reckoning. This is a reckoning for what Obama did. People say Obama, the president, didn't do anything individually for black. He did. What he did was inspire and motivate more black people to be professional, to be strong. They seen black people in positions of power. So black men said, I can own things. I can be the president. I can be the president of Fortune 500 company. And they began to do that. Black women did the same thing. So as they see that, now you see the reckoning to where they trying to rewrite in America. So I understand what you're saying, but I also want you to understand that this government owes black people. They pay reparations to everybody else. So if we can't give reparations, even in the form of the real reparations that we deserve, and we can't utilize the government money to be able to build and as a foundation, a lot of black, a lot of people do. I know white people who live at their parents' house, right? And they stack up their money. They say, okay, we don't have enough money right now. We're going to put our money and we live at our parents' house for 2 years. And what happens is, after those 2 or 3 years, after they lived off their parents, they go buy their homes and they create a foundation. So I think that if black people were taught that that's what we should be doing with the government's money, instead of trying to say, don't take no handout. No, everybody else is taking handouts and they're utilizing it and they're benefit from it and they're growing. So why shouldn't black people do the same thing?
One thing that I want the audience to take note of, and you as well, is that there is a red herring. You engaged in a major distraction. So the conversation that we agreed to have, and I'm happy to have this additional conversation, but the conversation we agreed to have was specifically about the clip that Willie D put out. And it was a clip with me speaking about SNAP benefits. And then from that discussion, out of nowhere, you start talking about another clip that you saw on my page with regards to a man speaking about how men and women communicate with respect and how that can or cannot turn physical. So I just want everyone to observe that that was a major distraction on that one.
And I don't think it's really a distraction. I think that you talked about the black family. right? So we're talking about the black family, and you say where was the disconnect and how something broke up the black family and how SNAP benefits replaced the man. And I want you to understand that in my point of view, that I don't
Okay.
believe SNAP benefits.
So I didn't yield the floor, and
Okay,
I appreciate that. But that is to bring emotionalism and to pull on the heartstrings. It's not a logical argument, and it's not even a part of what we were discussing. You basically try to position me as someone who approves of beating women and referencing a clip that had nothing to do with the clips that we were talking about. And this is it's almost like a mudslinging tactic, honestly. But I will address it, and I will double down and stand on everything that I've said. Now, one thing I like about you, there are a number of things I like about you, but one thing I like about you is that you're against.
I actually appreciate you.
I appreciate you. And one thing that I know that you've taken a public stand against is blacks murdering blacks, black on black violence. And I agree with you there. In as much as that's the case, we all have to engage one another with respect, and especially women who would claim that they're equal, then you would be treated as an equal. If you wish to be treated as a child or be treated as one who is not as rational, as responsible as a man, then you need to completely submit and be obedient. Now, me, if I had you on one hand and my lady on the other hand, and you said, Marquett, you this, that, and the third, cursing and being vulgar and being verbally threatening, I do my best to give you my worst straight away. There'd be no conversation. If my lady said the exact same things that you said, I wouldn't even take it seriously because she is truly a lady. She's feminine. I know she's irrational, but most importantly, she's in full submission to me. So even if she got emotional for a moment, I would forgive it because we already understand our hierarchy and that there's asymmetry and that I'm above her. So being that I view myself above her, she views me above her, I don't expect her to engage me with an equal level of rationality and of decorum. So I would not engage her physically. However, if I'm dealing with a woman who says that she's an independent woman, she says she's a strong woman, she says she's the same as a man, she's not taking my leadership, we're equal partners. Now, me personally, if I have an issue with a woman at any level, she's gone. There's no need to even play games with it. I wouldn't lift a hand to her. It's not a good use of time. I send her packing. But let's just say in the scenario of an average guy and he's dealing with a woman on an equal basis. Well, if you, Mysonne, say something that would lead you to getting your eye blacked and the woman says the same thing and she believes she's equal, then she should get her eye blacked. And it's that simple. Unless you truly don't believe that they're equal. And there's a lot of lies about it's liberal, white woman, feminist ideology. And it's really not about being equal. What it really is about is actually matriarchy and domination. A quick question for you before I carry on. You use the term partner. This is a term that comes from the LGBTQ, the Skittle Guzzlers. Do you accept homosexuality?
Well, I don't have to accept homosexuality because I'm not a homosexual. So
I just want to figure out where you're at with it. Are you an ally? Are you against it? Or are you neutral?
I don't have anything against somebody that's homosexual. That's their way of life. It's not mine.
Against, neutral, or ally?
I'm for anyone loving who they love.
You said you're a man. I'm just asking you as a man, respectfully. I'm asking you to make it plain. You know, black folks, we say make it plain. So like, make it plain for me. You're against it, you're neutral, or you're an ally?
I am for people loving who they love.
You sound like a lawyer right now. Now, here's the thing. I'm from LA. I know you're from New York, right?
Yes, sir.
And one thing we could always respect about the two cities, always look at us as, you know, very influential groups of black people. But we always look at you guys as blunt and straightforward. And we like to think that we're very honest, especially if you come from the lumping class or the underclass or the criminal class. Now, in my neighborhood, you ask a nigga a question, he's just going to tell you flat out. Like, I feel like you going Jesse Jackson on me right now, bro.
No, you feel like that I'm not giving you what you want to give me.
No, you going Jesse Jackson. I just asked you, like, you from the Bronx. I just asked you, like, are you against it? Are you neutral, or are you an ally?
Once again, I'm going to say again, you don't get to explain to me how I answer a question. You asked me a question, and I said I'm for people loving who they love.
Okay, so you're okay with a grown man loving
It's not
another
about
grown
me
man.
being okay with if that grown man is okay with loving that grown man, that's his decision. That's not
okay. Got you. Understood. Now, so that's why I used the term partner earlier. So this kind of ideology that you believe in and that you're sharing, this is the ideology that's extraordinarily destructive to the Black family in particular, and all families in general across all of the racial categories, racial and religious. Because number one, you're talking about independent women, and then you're talking about love. Families are not about love. They're about compatibility, business, moving forward, surviving and thriving. That's what it's actually about. And then when you talk about, you ask the older women, they weren't happy, they weren't in love. That's fine. Grandma had 9 kids, and it was very common that everybody's grandma and great grandma had 5 kids, 6 kids, 7 kids, 8 kids, 9 kids, 10 kids. Apparently, things were doing all right. You see, what you're describing is the unruly, disobedient nature of woman in general, but particularly a woman who's traumatized, particularly a woman who's unprotected. A woman should not be leading herself. And what has happened is that they've led themselves to destruction. They think that they're thinking clearly and making good decisions, and they're not. And we can see all of the outcomes as a result. And it's shown up in all of the bad things we've been seeing happen, particularly in the Black community. Now, another thing that reeks of this white woman liberal ideology, you brought up Barack Obama, who, number one, is irrelevant to the conversation. Number two, he's not done a damn thing for Black people. I find it offensive. Number three, as a foundational Black American, he's not one of us. He doesn't have the same heritage. And number four, he did more for the LGBTQ because he actually passed legislation and went to bat on their behalf. I find him to have been a stain for Black people. Oh, he's not like us. He's not like us. And many of us are lost. I am the souls of Black folks. Black people have the highest level of religiosity in this country right here. And that's because Black people are a people of spirit and rhythm. And that's all of us around the whole planet Earth. We're deeply religious, spiritual people. And if you go to the continent of Africa, for the things that you said you're okay with, the LGBTQ stuff, there's capital punishment in many places. There's a death penalty because Black people, that is against the souls of Black folks. And you're a hip hop head. You may remember the time when hip hop was Black, when hip hop was positive, when hip hop was political, and when hip hop embedded our culture. And you would hear people say things like no homo, or you finish battling somebody, especially in New York, and you would say, and I can't even say the word right now, that's all been ripped out of our culture by the liberal whites. What they did was they commercialized our culture. They put it on social media. They put it on Netflix. And then they told us who we are. Before, they used to observe us in our ghettos and then reflect our image in Hollywood. But now Hollywood tells us who we are, and then we follow it. And that's how you get a Lil Nas X. And that's how you get Mysonne, the general, telling me he can't speak up straight like a man and say, I do not condone the abomination of a man laying down with another man, especially a Black man, because that reduces our population. The Black woman aborts more children than she gives birth to. Her birth rate is like 1.9. You need a birth rate of 2.1 for replacement and for growth. And we cannot have all these people, males laying with males and women laying with women and Black women abort children because we are being reduced. You talk about reparations. You say the government owes us something. Maybe they do. But one thing I can promise you is they ain't giving you a damn thing. You ain't going to get 40 acres. You ain't going to get a mule. What I'm doing is I got Burton Plantation, 62 acres. We're giving out 2 acres, $30K. It's a hell of a deal. And building a cooperative community where we have farming and all of the things that you need for your children, including homeschool. But what I'm not about to do, I'm not about to wait for a government that I already know hates me. Because goddamn it, the government hates the white man too. He ain't doing a damn thing for the middle and lower class white man. Why in the hell would he do something for me? So I tell you this, logic. I asked you, what's more important, short term or long term? You said long term. Dig this. If we believe that the Black man in America, the Black family is owed something and we want to get it, you have to get it through force, because that's how it was taken. It was taken by force. Malcolm X, one of your New York brothers, told you, you can't ask to get free, you got to take it. So if we want to be able to compete, we need population, we need education, we need religion, we need heterosexuality, we need unity, leadership, and patriarchy. The things that you're talking about being a partner and
focusing on love and not having reproduction. Those are all things that destroy us. And that's what's happening right now. There will be no reparations. We have to build up our population and take the reparations by any means necessary.